Goed dat je luistert naar een nieuwe aflevering van Paul de Vries vanuit de podcaststudio in Ede met de missie de online automotive beter te maken. Dit doet Paul met de volgende partners met dezelfde missie: Marktplaats, Coldrip, Carmen Automotive BDC, Vindio, Used Car Controller en tweedehands.be.
$3 trillion. I asked this yesterday, and for those of you that were here yesterday, don't answer. How long would it take you to count to a trillion? And I asked that because I can't comprehend a trillion, and I bet you can't either. So if we counted to a trillion, and you could use this pace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If we could use that pace, how long would it take you to count to a trillion? Any guesses? Any guesses? How many years? 100 years? That's a long time. Any guesses? 30,700 years. 30,700 years. And you can Google that. How long would it take you to count to a trillion? 30,700. They're a $3 trillion corporation, so it would take you 100,000 years to count to that number. They have more cash on hand than the U.S. government. And why am I afraid of them? Because they can do whatever the heck they want. And remember this? Somebody said, yeah, how are they going to distribute the cars? Okay, well, they buy AutoNation. They write a check for $6 billion, $7 billion, $10 billion. They write a check for $10 billion. And they just take the premium brands across the smile of America. Leave the Midwest out because nobody likes that place anyhow. And then they buy CarMax that sold several 100,000 cars last year, used cars. Now they control 80% of the market in the country. They don't buy AutoNation. How about this? They stroke a check and they buy Toyota. Toyota, you're on stock market, what's it going to cost? It's $100 billion? Okay, Toyota, it's now Apple. They've got manufacturing. They've got distribution. They've got shipping. With just a stroke of a check and a lot of change left over, right? And the crazy thing about them, who has design down better than Apple? Nobody. Who's got trade cycle management down? I bought an iPhone 1. I bought an iPhone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a couple of 7s, 1 or 2 8s, a couple of 11s. I remember I lost one, I broke one, 11, 12. When you replaced an iPhone, did you ever replace one because it wasn't any good? Chances are not. It was just the new one's there and I want it. So they've got us fairly well trained, and I think they're the competitor to watch in the future as we move forward. And I know they've got me concerned. They just announced this also. They grabbed the top exec from Ford, and she's been charged with getting a car out there by 2025. So if you want to add to your list things to be concerned about, by 2025, she's promised them she'll have a car on the road. And so today's dealerships are being impacted by PPP not being there, Rivian skateboard coming out, Carvana, chip shortage, employee retention, inflation, facility requirements, electrification, mandates, pandemic, Tesla, and now Apple. And where do we go with all these concerns out there? The good news is we're the most resilient bunch that's ever existed. Car dealers are car dealers, and they figure it out. And we've got to sort of figure it out with them. But I think that, we need to be aware that the barbarians are at the gate. And in America, we've never made more profit than we're making now. I mean, even the dumb dealers are making big money. And believe me, my accountant told me, because this guy can't tie his shoes and made $4 million last year. And the smart dealers are making crazy money. And I think the dealers that I know, they're in a profit coma. One dealer that I know wasn't making a lot. He made $50 million last year. He didn't make that in the 10 years prior to that combined. He made $50 million. But while we're counting our money and saying, how great we are, the barbarians, the Tim Cook, the Elon Musks, the Warren Buffetts, the Chinese manufacturers are all planning how do they come into our space over here. And they don't care about legacy. They don't care if your dad was a dealer and his dad before him, or your mom was a dealer. They don't really care. They think that we're ripe for the picking and they're coming after us. So what are we doing to prepare? I think the better awareness of being aware of these things will help you make better daily decisions, and better daily decisions will lead to better results. That's what we call the success formula. Better awareness helps you make better decisions. Better decisions give you better daily results. I would recommend a book. I recommended, there's 2 books, but one's called The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And it's a book about what your day should look like and could look like if you want to be the ultra performing person. You know, I believe in one way to win the game is to live longer than everybody else. That's a great way, right? You can have more money than me, but if you die before me, I win. You know, and it's kind of a fun game, and I don't want anyone to die. But that's one way to win. The other way is not to live longer at the end, but to live longer every day. And if I get up at 4 in the morning, and I do, I can get more done before 9 o'clock than most people can get done in an entire day. And Sharma gives you a real good outline in that book. And then he's got he's also got one that's called the Ultimate Manifesto or something like that. That's fantastic. But this book, I don't recommend books. I have no financial interest in it. Just it's a real good book to help us to be competitive going forward. I mean, if we think someone's coming to save us, they're not. The government, it doesn't like us, right? The government in Denmark, Amsterdam, it doesn't like them, and Denmark doesn't like them. You know how I know? The tax they put on the cars. They say, hey, we don't want cars out there. And the tax they charge to park your cars in the city. We don't like cars. And now the manufacturers don't like us either. Well, we're in trouble. So, what do? You got to be in the market at all times. Before purchase, during purchase, and after purchase, right? We call it find, serve, keep. And you know, you've got to be putting money where the customers are. And right now, we said before, customers start their service and their purchasing journey online. And many dealers right now with the shortage in cars are doing what with their advertising budgets? They're cutting their budgets. Dealers are cutting their search budget at the moment when more people are searching for cars than ever before, right? There's a scarcity of cars. What do people do? They search. And what do the dealers do? They cut this search budget. And I had a guy, I'm on a board for Honda advertising, and the guy said, he stood up and goes, Benstock, I'm selling every car I get. Why would I advertise? I said, we all are. But there's a good reason. Are you making all the money? The best way to make all the money is to have 10 people that want one car. And if you have 10 people that want one car, you can get all the gross you want. The other thing about that is turn. How quickly are you turning your cars? And we were at a meeting this morning, and a gentleman's very successful dealer said to me, he said, what's your used car turn? And I said, I don't know, what's yours? And he was, what was his turn? 9. And he was very proud. I turn my used cars 9 times a year. That's pretty good. He goes, what do you do? I said, 18. We sell all of our used cars twice a month. You know, so if we have 200 cars in stock, we sell 400 used cars. If we have 400, we sell 800. And that's down from 22. And the reason we're able to turn the cars and earn the money is because we're advertising. We're in the market at all times. And this is data. This is last week. This is last week's Google data. Not my data, Google's data. In the U.S., search interest. Toyota, it's up 27%. Kia, scaring me, man, 36%. Those new cars are beautiful. I hate Kia. They were going to give me a franchise. I said, I don't want it, but it's free. It's too much. I don't want it. Now, hey, where is that guy? The cars look great. The new logo is futuristic, and the cars look like the new logo. They look great, and the customers are looking for them. This is tomorrow's newspaper. Search is a predecessor to purchase. Before you buy, you search. And more people are searching for their car as a percentage, is a bigger increase than mine. Twice as much increase in interest. And with Hyundai. So these Korean guys got something going on here. Real interesting. And again, what's the best way to get gross? And the fun thing also is dealer turn rate. Our Honda dealership here, it's not ranked in any particular order, our turn rate's 92%. Meaning when they send us 1,000 used cars, within 30 days we've sold and delivered 920 of them. We have a 92% turn rate. The next closest competitor is 83, the next one after that's 71. The group average is half that. So what that means to us is Honda has discretionary cars, and it's called turn and earn. And the more you turn, the more you earn. And last month they had 200 discretionary cars for 17 dealers. I got 100 of them. The other 16 dealers split the 100 cars. So they're really, it's not rigged, but they can't compete because we turn the cars, and they want to feed the strong. They don't believe in spreading them out evenly. You feed the strong, and that's why everybody else gets stronger. That's what I believe.
Steeds meer collega's gebruiken Used Car Controller. Taxeren, calculeren, publiceren of auto's verhandelen met je persoonlijke handelsplatform? Met 1 abonnement geeft Used Car Controller je controle over alle kritische gebruikte autoprocessen. Zo maakt Used Car Controller je tot sterkste in je vak. Vindio is de merkonafhankelijke automotive partner. Vindio is er voor uw klanten en u. Zo kunt u zorgeloos ondernemen en uw rendement verbeteren. Uw online leads opvolgen binnen 30 seconden? Dat kan met CallDrip. Vraag direct een demo aan.
There's socialism and capitalism. I'm on the capitalist side. You give everybody something that's nice, but feed the strong and the weak will catch up. By focusing on the most valuable transaction, we think you can also identify your perfect prospect. There are less transactions right now. So have you identified what the most valuable transaction is in your dealership? And I know what it is in our store. It's a vehicle exchange. A vehicle exchange is taking a customer that's driving your product, servicing with you, and selling them another one of your product. And for us right now, that transaction has a value of about $13,000. That's the new car gross, that's the used car gross, and that's the service gross on that repair. And so when we are looking for the perfect prospect is the customer that has the highest statistical probability of doing business with you today and in the future. And I made a formula around this, E equals PO squared, and an exchange equals a profit opportunity squared. And because, and from the OEM perspective, this is one of those perfect plays, right? It feeds all of our profit centers, it feeds all of your profit centers, and it's good for the customer. And so it's really good. It's sort of a good plan. You sell a new car? Yay. You sell a used car? Yay. You service the new car and the used car? Yay. You also probably sell a service contract, which feeds the service department again. You finance the new car, you lease the new car? Yay. You finance the used car or lease the used car. We don't do a lot of that. Yay. You also sell a service contract, you sell a maintenance plan, maybe you sell some other products, and your parts department eats twice. So that one transaction feeds all the profit centers in the dealership, and I like those kind of transactions. We have to stop looking at ourselves as new car sales managers, used car sales managers, service managers, and have to look at the holistic. How do we raise the bar for the entire dealership? And with our used car department, we sell about 400 certified cars a month. The internal work, the internal labor that we have every month is about $400,000 from that internal work. So my service manager loves my used car manager because he adds a lot to his pocket every month. And so where do you go fishing for those customers? Paul was talking about knowing your numbers. He said it differently, but know your numbers. We have 10,680 customers in equity in our database right now. Every person in this room that's a dealer or a manager has a database. You have a number of customers in that database. You got to know that number. How many customers in that database are in a position where you can do what we call a payment walk? A payment walk is you can take them out of the current car, put them into a newer used car for a similar monthly payment. For us, that number is 10,680. Of the 96,000 people in our database, we can take 10,000 of them and put them into a new car. I set a target, a goal, of converting 10% of that every month. 10% of $10,680. Easy math, that's 1,068 transactions a month. The current gross profit is $5,600 a car. Things are a little different in the US right now. And if we did that 10%, that'd be $6 million a month. And then all of those customers have a trade-in. but we don't get 100% of them. I was shocked to see we're getting a lower percentage now than ever because customers are hanging on to those cars. We're getting 68% of those trade-ins. And the average gross profit on a used car is about $4,400. So if you take 68% of 1,068, that's 726 times the $4,400 a car, that equals $3 million a month. That's not bad. But there's more. Those 726 cars have to go through the shop. The average cost of certification is $1,838. 72% of that's profit, so it's $1,300. So $1,300 times 726 is another $960. 960,000, excuse me, slight error. And you add this, and you add this, and you add this. It's a pretty good number. It's $10 million a month sitting there in your database. You don't have to go outside your store. You don't have to advertise. You just got to pick up the phone. Times 12. It's $122 million a year. Now, many of you may have seen the sales trainer in the United States called Joe Verdi. And Joe Verdi has this famous thing he does. Hey, you don't think that number's real? You don't like the number? Cut it in half. Would you get up early in the morning at 5 o'clock? Would you run to the dealership and work late at night to get an extra $60 million a year? You bet you would. You don't believe that number? Cut it in half again. $30 million sitting there. All you got to do is pick up the phone and grab it. Would you pick up the phone? Would you call? Would you do whatever you have to do to get $30 million a year? You bet you would. You don't like that number? Cut that in half. It's $15 million. Can you leave $15 million sitting on the table? And so, you know, I said to Google, I said, man, I love the math here. And they said, I don't understand you. I thought you were this big dealer. Why are you thinking so small? Why are you thinking 10% is the number? This is an alley-oop. What percentage of retention do you think Apple has? It's like 96%. What percentage retention do you think Netflix has? 96%. What percentage retention does Amazon have? 98%. What if this was 20% Benstock? $240 million. Or what if it was 30%? So that's what we're working on now. Now, you might say, where are you going to get the 1,000 cars? I don't know. You know, eventually the factory will be back to building cars. And this is our sort of our profit plan for the future when things normalize and things tend to drop. This is our profit plan if a recession hits, when it hits. This is our profit plan for if we have to cut our advertising budget. How do we keep our kids in our dealership strong? And the really good news here is we're automating all of this with technology. We're using technology now to be able to make those decisions for us so we know the right customers to reach at the right cadence. And how are you going to reach them? I got to pull. I think I can't see. I can't see. How are we going to do it? We're going to use technology to help us reach them by phone, by text message, by video, and we're probably going to put a small amount of money towards each of those areas, probably $50 a car in advertising to reach those customers. And would you put $50 a car towards going after this? And I'm not selling anything. I'm not telling you, hey, and buy that from me. I'll certainly tell Paul about it when it's out there and say, hey, Paul, look, we've got it. It's automated. Because the data is sitting there, right? The answer is in the box. If you have a DMS, the answer is sitting in the box and just waiting for someone to make the right sequential dial on the telephone and say the right words, like, hi, I'm calling from Paragon. And how are you? Calling from Paragon. And the owner wanted me to call you to let you know there's an alert on your car. It's called an equity alert. What that means is we can take you out of your, what are you driving?
BMW.
We can take you out of your car. Which model?
3 Series.
We could take you out of your 3 Series, put you into a brand new 3 Series and lower your monthly payment. By the way, it's better fuel economy, it's safer. And with no money in your pocket, are you interested? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of easy. I need to have 9 people say no and 1 person say yes to get $122 million. So the whole thing is, how do you have that conversation? How do you have that conversation? And it's simple, right? If Apple says it, and Tim Cook calls you up and says, hey, I got the new iPhone 14, it's really fantastic. I'm going to download all your data. I'm going to get you a brand new one. and your payment's going to stay the exact same. Sign me up. You don't even have to leave your house. We'll ship it to you. And when you get our phone, send the other one back. Right? You would do it in a second. If you don't think they're going to do this with their customers when they start selling cars, crazy. So we need to beat them to the punch. And I close with a quote from the professor. It's surprising how long things take, and shocking how fast they happen. That was in here before I came to Denmark or to Belgium. And I can't believe things have already happened. It's all over already. It's all over. Electrification's here. You guys are 2-3 years ahead of the United States market. So I'm really excited. I read the newspaper from next year. I'm going back to the States and say, hey, when the factory says, well, we'd like you to do this, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Hold off there, buddy. If you're not going to give me an agreement that says you're not going to do this to me, just hold on. I'm going to go SOS, save our ship. I'm going to make sure that we're strong. I'm going to make sure we're doing fixed stops I'm going to service every damn Honda in New York State. I'm going to make sure I provide tires for every car in New York State. I'm going to make sure I repair every car in New York State. I'm going to be the largest used car dealer in New York State because I don't know what the factory's doing. I have no clue. As of right now, I can't compete with you. We don't have a single EV. We have no place to plug them. I mean, I'm in an urban area. We've got buildings 90 stories tall. What are you going to have, an extension cord that's 2 miles long? I have no clue how we're going to do this. The garages, there's a garage, a buddy of mine has a garage. He's got 2,500 spaces. He's got 4 chargers. How does that work? How does that work? So I've got some time, and I'm really excited. I'm going back to the store like Paul Revere. The British are coming. The British are coming. And I'm warning them. I'm saying the British look like the factory. They're not our friends, I swear. They're not our friends. Be careful, be careful. And I say that with all due respect. Honda and Toyota have said, hey, we're with you. We're not going with that model. That's cool. And I hope they're right. But I see Stellantis. I see with the Volvo. You were in Denmark. The biggest Volvo dealer in Denmark. The best. These guys are great. You're terminated. The best Volvo. You're terminated. Done. And this guy was so loyal to them, he didn't take on a BMW dealership years before because he thought it would be a conflict of interest. And now he's doing it with BMW. And his operation has 1 million tires in stock. They have a collision business, a scrap metal business. The company's got $3.9 billion in sales. And I sat there in Denmark and said, if they'll do that to them, what if that happens to us? I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared, so I've got some time to prepare. I just wanted to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to spend some time with you today and share my story, my concerns, and my hopes that we can come out of this stronger. No shots at the factory, I'm sorry. Yesterday, Paul had 5 guys from Honda sitting in the front row, and I said to them, Honda, you're in Amsterdam? I haven't seen a Honda since I've been in Amsterdam. We saw 1 car. And it's like the #1 brand in the United States. I said, what are you doing? The cars are same cars. They're fantastic. But did you see the look on their face when I was telling them why Honda's great? They were writing stuff down like they didn't know this about our cars. We won Formula One. The Europeans love Formula One. You should be telling everybody the best engines in the world. I see cars on the road. I say to Paul, who would drive? I wouldn't drive that. I wouldn't drive that. I wouldn't drive that. But I'm not making fun of the cars, but they're like tiny. They're like this big, and they look scary. And he says, yeah, but they're all small.
No, they were small in the Netherlands. They are big here.
Okay, I don't know.
The pollution stops at the border, right?
Yes, that's right.
Our government believes that.
So anyhow, I think that we're in exciting times. There's that old Chinese proverb, you're blessed to live in interesting times. We're living in very interesting times. So I thank you very much for your time.
Dank u wel voor het luisteren naar de DCDW-podcast van Paul de Vries met de missie om de online automotive beter te maken. Vond u deze podcast interessant? Abonneer dan meteen via Spotify, Soundcloud of iTunes en deel deze podcast via LinkedIn met uw netwerk. De DCDW-podcast van Paul de Vries wordt mede mogelijk gemaakt door de volgende partners: Marktplaats, Coldrip, Carmen Automotive BDC, Vindio, Used Car Controller en tweedehands.be.